I see a lot of women, especially generation, we are so independent. We got a lot of money. We want to, be able to buy our stuff. But at the same time, we have to understand that we are equal. That doesn't mean you got to be 50-50. I know people talk about that, but I mean, like, be supportive. If it comes down to, okay, your husband is paying the bills, he's doing this, take him out to eat. Like, what is wrong with you not to be able to feed your dude? Like, if you are cooking for him, groceries cost money. Right. So does eating out. So provide something that gives him peace. People go through so much stuff, and I've heard that it's like, well, I can be his peace. Don't be a peace, be the peace.
What's good, everybody? Hope all is well. This is Zachary King from the Future is Female Podcast. I'm here with the beautiful
Sarah E. Arriaga.
All right, so we were talking a little bit off, behind the scenes. We were talking about interracial dating. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you were saying that you dated someone that was white before?
Yes.
How was that? What was that experience like?
Honestly, it's funny because when I was growing up in Philly, I used to say I'm never going to date a white guy and this and that. And then, I met somebody that really I was able to connect with, in high school. We ended up developing a very long-term relationship. My first technical husband. So.
Technical husband? Okay.
Yeah, but he did pass away.
Sorry to hear that.
Shortly after. But it was an experience. It's like I always say, be open to different cultures. Don't limit to, even if you say I like this preference and that, be open, because it's more about the person. Right. Their look, is deeper than appearances.
Right. Now, what do you identify as?
So I am mixed. And if I can't say I'm mixed, I don't click nothing. So I am Black, African-American. That's majority what I'm mixed with. Then I got a Puerto Rican, East Indian, American Indian, and a little bit of Caucasian white. So.
Got you. What group do you find yourself kind of gravitating towards?
Honestly, that's a little hard thing to say. I always felt like a loner. I never was really able to connect and fit into a specific culture. I felt like not many people accepted me. Like growing up in Philly, I was always light-skinned, the white girl. And so I was really made fun of because my appearance. I never thought that I was pretty or, beautiful or had any good complexions. And then when I relocated to Lancaster for high school, to finish high school, actually, I got criticized because I was Black by the white people. So it was like, and I never spoke Spanish, so I could never really fit into the Hispanic culture. Like people, they're nice, but it's like I didn't speak Spanish, so I wasn't a part of them.
Do you find like when you get into the Spanish culture, the fact that you don't speak Spanish, do you feel like they look down on you, or like they kind of like not embrace you as one of their own?
Not so much as look down, but I feel like they just kind of like they didn't accept me as I'm part of them. Even though there's a lot of Hispanics that don't speak Spanish because they're raised in the States, and they, very few of them speak Spanish, but they're completely 100% like Puerto Rican or, Mexican or whatever. But it's also based on your culture. So I feel like, the Hispanic culture kind of accepted me more so than the other cultures because I really look Hispanic. Right. But once they found out, she don't speak Spanish, it was like, all right, the conversation subdued.
No. I know that for a fact. When I was in jail, it was a brother that came in there, but he looked Spanish. And I remember when he first came in there, they gave him everything. Like, it was a big deal. Like to make sure that the Spanish folks in jail, they really make sure that the other ones are taken care of. And when they found out that he wasn't Spanish, he just looked Spanish, they completely like kind of washed their hands with him. It was crazy because it went from like him being completely embraced for him being completely alone. So I can't imagine what you must be going through or what that must feel like, In terms of the Black culture, like how was that? Like how do you identify with like the Black culture and stuff? Like
I do. Honestly, I say I'm Black more than anything else. I really didn't even know I was considered anything else until when I was like 30. And I looked at my birth certificate and it was like, oh, you Hispanic because your dad's Hispanic because his dad's Hispanic. And I'm like, my dad don't even speak Spanish.
Right.
He wasn't raised. He was raised in Philly, by his grandmother who was black and mixed with American Indian. So, it's like I come from that culture. That's where I was raised around. I love black men. That's
Okay.
But, it's like, so being told that you are something other than just black is like, I didn't want to accept it, but people would always ask me, what are you?
Right.
And I never took offense to that. I love to be able to tell people, oh, I'm mixed, because it felt like that was my uniqueness. Like I stood out because of that,
Right.
But honestly, I always felt like I grew up in Philly.
I mean, now you can use it to your advantage, right? Like when I think of someone and I'm looking at you, but the person that comes to my mind is, I think it's Jessica Alba. Is that her?
Oh yeah,
she plays everybody. Like she plays the little Spanish girl, she plays the black girl, like the white girl. So it's just like you are in a position where you could play basically anything.
Right. So they say ethnically ambiguous.
Right. I guess that's the political term for it. You mentioned how you said when you was growing up that you was made fun of and that you didn't think you was pretty. So when did you get to a space? Because that's kind of odd to hear from someone that was Miss Philadelphia, correct?
Yes.
So how did you get to that space to say, you know what, I'm gonna represent even for the city now at this point?
Yeah, it's funny because I had to rep Philly because that's where I'm from. So I was crowned Mrs. Philadelphia 2022.
Bring the mic up a little bit too.
And then
cool.
I was crowned Mrs. Philadelphia 2022, and then I was crowned Mrs. Philadelphia County 2024. I had to skip 23 because of my schedule. And so I passed my title along and was able to keep it the next year. But that's my city. That's where I'm from. But it was a little difficult to navigate, honestly. Just kind of like when I was growing up, I had a lot of people that didn't really want to be my friend because they were afraid of losing friendships from other people. I had one girl tell me, I can't be your friend because the other girls won't be my friend.
Wow.
We were really cool, but it was like I was light skinned, so I was always the lightest one in all the schools.
Right. So because it's a lot of things that black women go through, and that are true. Is black women, especially dark skinned black women, sometimes they don't receive such fair treatment because of their skin. And you being, light skinned, that's a real thing for them. I remember my mother is a very dark skinned woman, and she used to tell me about how stories in which she would get overlooked because of her skin. And so I can imagine but then that's also what it sound like as is by you being light skinned, you also go through discrimination as well.
I do, yeah. And I mean, that's one thing is I always got to represent women. I don't matter what color you are, what complexion, what background you come from. We got to support females because we go through so much. It's ridiculous.
I do.
And it is true. And I had to learn that as a model is that if you don't have a certain look, there's nothing wrong with you. You had the best walk, but if you don't have the look that they want, you're not going to get picked. And, having to kind of deal with that in the industry, it kind of reflected over into my personal life. And I'm like, you know what? There is nothing wrong with me. I am beautiful.
You're very attractive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But, that was one thing that I had to... A lot of people used to say, oh, light-skinned girls are this, light-skinned girls are that, and I used to be like, but I'm not like that, It's like, how do I get people to see me for me and look past that, because I don't look at my skin. I don't look at that, it's like, it stands out when I look in a mirror, but I look at like, this is me, this is who I am, this is who I connect with, who I talk to. And it's deeper than that, it's like, even some of my relationships, they weren't the best looking because it wasn't what I was looking at. It was who you are. How do we connect? How do we talk?
I do think people put way too much stake on the outside, and it's really what's the inside that really truly matters. Mm-hmm. It's because all that at the end of the day, like I say, I mean, I make no qualms about it. I would like to be with a black woman, but if that's not the way the cards, are being dealt, so be it. Mm-hmm. I just want to be happy. So it falls onto that category. It falls onto just being happy. Mm-hmm. I just want to be happy with someone. You mentioned earlier about how you date black men. What is your experience? What is the fact? Not I won't say infatuation, but what is the lure of black men?
Honestly, I see more confidence in black men, and just the fact that one thing that, stories of what my mom and family had to go through, because my older brother, he's 2 years older than me, same mom and dad, he's darker than me. So, people will be like, you not mixed, but she probably is. But it's like, my family, I've heard so many stories where, they had to overcome so much, especially in the generations that have passed, and how people of different cultures are belittled and devalued. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with them. You have to, I've said before, you got to value yourself. Even if other people don't acknowledge that, acknowledge it in yourself.
Right.
And, I see more confidence and just, I don't know, they're just so good. Like, no, I love, like, I feel safe around Black men. I feel like I can be taken care of. I feel like you're going to take care of me. You're going to, and it's not even people talking about financially. Like, no, we can, it's just being safe around you. That's what appeals to me. And, yeah.
No, that makes sense.
But looks, I love me some dark skin. I'm sorry.
I respect it. Shout out to the dark skinned brothers out here. What about your experiences with Black women? Like, how do they feel? Like, do you ever receive like nasty looks or hate, or what is that like?
Honestly, because I grew up in Philly, that has happened, but then I've also received it from white women when I moved out of Philly. So it's like I had to navigate a lot of that. But, I've had some very close friends in high school that I'm still friends with today that were dark. Like my one friend, she's amazing. I haven't talked to her recently, but I used to hang out with her all the time in high school, and she was dark skinned. She was a Gemini too, and I'm a Sag. I'm a borderline with a Sag and a Cap, but
right.
I thought growing up I was Capricorn. I was like, you a Sag. But, I heard Geminis and Sag are very mutual and connected. And I don't know what it was, but we just got along so great. I told her if I was into girls, I would want to be with you. But I'm not, So I just really associated myself with wanting to be her friend. And she did the same thing. She stood up for me. She, I would sit there and just kind of like take anything. Like I don't like conflict, so I try and avoid it, or I'm just away from it. I'll cut you off because I know that's what you're going to bring.
Right.
But she always stood up for me, and she taught me how to have a voice into myself as well.
Right.
And not just take what people give you. And I see that a lot more in the Black culture, is that especially with how times have changed. You can now stand up for what you believe in instead of having to deal with what you're dealt and keep it inside and have to, put a smile on your face when somebody belittles you. Like, no, you can stand up for yourself now. And I feel like, the Black culture, they've been through so much. They've gone through so much. And if you look at history, it's a very predominant culture that has been around. But I just see a lot more confidence in, individuals who are from the African American and Black from that culture, that they can navigate things much stronger than any other cultures. You hear people talk about white people. Why are you doing this? Anything? And it's like, everyone has a certain level of privilege that they are dealing with. It depends on how you were raised, where you were born, and what you're taught. Like we're not born with knowledge. We are taught things. So it's like a lot of people don't realize just because you were raised this way and you were taught that way does not mean it is the right thing. So the way the culture had to navigate through a lot of different setbacks and things that, try to keep them
resilience.
Under. Yeah, exactly.
You see that resilience.
Exactly. That's why they always say, oh, you a strong Black woman. And it's like, it's not so much as that, but you are strong because you know how to move on. Even when you're dealt with heartache, you know how to keep going and be the strength that other people, they get, we talked about depression before. They don't feel like I can navigate, and, they start doing things so they can't make it to the next day. But as a Black culture, you see, I have responsibility. I have things that I have to do. I have the resilience. I have to continue to move forward.
Right.
And through that, that's growth. Through that, you can excel and get to the next stage in life. And that's very predominant in the Black culture.
So while I definitely appreciate everything you're saying, I want to just put this out here, because there's oftentimes that is not what's being displayed of our culture, right? Especially a Black man. Black men, we are told that we're gay, we don't make enough money, that we are just every nasty statistic, quick to, domestic violence, go to jail. but yet you're still attracted to black men. So what is it, and give me a couple tangibles, because I think as black men, we do need to hear that, and just because we don't get that often. And oftentimes in the media, we are beat up. We get trashed in the media.
I find that being utterly ridiculous, like straight up. One thing that I feel like women don't give men credit just in general is that men go through a lot. They have to be the strong one. And especially a black man coming from that culture, you really got to be strong, not just for yourself, but your wife, your seed, your family, mother, father, sister, brother. It's like you really have to be the ones that one can make solid decisions and move forward. Yes, you getting up early, going to work. And I hate it when I see a lot of these women talking about you got to take care of me. And I'm like, if you were put in that position, could you do it?
Right.
And a lot of them can't. A lot of them can't. I don't even mean like you being as a woman put in that position. Like say if you were to, you were born a man and you had to do this and you now realize the difficulty that men face and now you are doing it, would you be able to pull it off? A lot of people don't put themselves in anyone else's shoes. They just kind of go, this is what I want. But if you matter, why don't they matter?
No, that is definitely a fact. I think a lot of women, unfortunately, and this is just why I feel like just women, period, they're very disconnected to the struggles of men. Mm-hmm. And it's not until they see them struggles happening to their father, to their brother, or to their son, to where they kind of get a heart for what men go through. Because when they see it happen, because if you was to ask them same women that the women that the man take care of them from off of just meeting them, and you ask them and say, hey, would you want that to happen to your son? They will oftentimes say no. They'll say, not my boy. We don't play them games. Mm-hmm. But they don't mind that going for someone else. And that's for the level-headed ones. Mm-hmm. So I think that like we can make an argument that sometimes I feel like men can be a little bit more compassionate of what women go through.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. That's very true. That's why you have a lot more men that they can take care of a woman and take care of a family, because women are complicated. I'm saying this as a straight woman, like it really is. Women get frustrating. That's why I don't pick out my clothes the day before, because I know by the next day happens, I'm not going to want to wear it. I'm going to want to wear something else.
Right.
So it's like there's times that women can be undecisive and, we're dealing with a lot. And our emotions, like we get very emotional, and be it the hormones because of the moon cycle, whatever you want to call it, men are a little more level-headed. And honestly, I've talked to men when I'm upset about something, and they help me realize, oh, you know what, that's true. Why didn't I see that?
Right.
And it's just men. I feel like they're more open and tuned to the spiritualness of our energies, because they can tell when a woman is upset, when a woman is sad. And I know a lot of women say, oh, you can't tell. They can tell, but they also know like what you consider to be the end of the world is not. It's not that deep. It's not that major. But how you feel right now, it's pretty major. But look, you got to look at the long run. So
my question to you would be, what are some of the things that we could do as not black, white, black, Hispanic, but just man and women? What can we do to kind of help mend that together? Like what conversations need to happen? Because I don't want to be the type of podcaster where only thing we doing is sitting around beating the same dead horse for hours and never come up with a solution. So what are some of the things that we can do for as a man who has a platform, what can we do to help out the plight of the woman?
Honestly, I don't feel like there's much that you guys can do that's better. I mean, that goes for everybody. There's always something we can do better. But I feel like it's more about the woman being more open to listening to men and voice their pain. Because I know guys are always told, you can't, talk about your pain and your hurt and what you're dealing with, what you're going through. You can't cry about it. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't be upset about things. You can't take out your anger. And yet I've seen so many women, it pissed me off, that they'll be like, I can beat on my dude, but he can't hit me. I was like, no, I'm sorry, sweetie. If you act like a man, be treated like a man.
I can respect that.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like there's a lot more women that need to be open to listening to men and being able to willing to communicate with them and just hear how they're feeling. I know guys, I'm not saying you got to talk about your feelings, but just be more in tune to how men are responding to you and how, where their headspace is at. And, I'm not saying like men don't got to do nothing. We all
Right,
have to
gotta put in the
mature.
work, and right.
Yeah, and we can all become our better. I feel like I want to be better than I am today, tomorrow. I want to be better tomorrow than I am today.
Right.
So it's just growth, it's personal growth. And as long as you are the type of person that you can self-reflect and grow and mature, then align yourself with those same people. Don't be around somebody that's going to bring you down. And that goes for men and women.
Very true. Part of the reason why a lot of us men do not open up to women is because our pain become weaponized. Literally just today, I was just dealing with a situation where I had to tell a woman, don't talk about his mother. Like, I had to tell her, don't talk about his mother. She has nothing to do with our conversation. Don't talk about his mother. And what happened was he had a little bit of pillow talk and he's vented some things and she's now using that against him. But the sad part about it is this would be the same woman that would say he doesn't open up. He doesn't talk to me. And when he say he cheated, they would never understand that other woman gave him a safe place to land. I think that's one of the things I would just, I'm always preaching about women giving men grace. And I feel like men need to give women grace too, because we men, we have definitely have dropped the ball with a lot of our women. We are definitely have truly disappointed a lot of our women. So even when I tell the men in my networking group, it's like, when you come here, pour in. A lot of women have been hurt before. Get away from, we moving past all that, the sexual lust. It's about now we have to become conscious about the standard that we set, especially for someone like myself who have a little girl. I want her to meet a man. I can't say that if my little girl met me a few years ago, the man that I would have been happy with. So I think it's just with that sense of accountability and responsibility. I think that's something that we're definitely missing within our culture. With that being said, have the final word. I want you to talk about, again, how we can mend the gap between men and women, and then also talk about a little bit, more about your experiences being a light-skinned woman, and because maybe they need to hear that side of it too. Maybe they need to hear your pain and what you go through.
I mean, that's a lot to cover.
Okay.
But I just want to kind of at least say this. Just be open to understanding that, you matter, your feelings matter, but so does the next person. Don't put yourself above other people. And that doesn't mean that you have to be worried about, saying, well, I can't do this because I have to worry about other people. No, you matter. You have value. But at the same time, so does everyone else. We are all equal in this world. We are all created in God's image. And I feel like there's some people that get a little narcissistic and selfish and they don't realize they made mistakes. We all make mistakes. We are not born with knowledge. We are all learning. We are all growing. I feel like I'm going to learn until the day I die, and then I'm still going to learn what happens. So, just understanding that and knowing that it's okay to say you're sorry. And, my mom used to always tell me, stop apologizing so much. And I had to learn, it's not so much that I'm sorry about what I said or did. I'm sorry that I offended you. If what I said and did offended you, I'm sorry that it offended you or that you felt hurt because of that. That wasn't my intention, and a lot of people don't realize that you have to do things out of love. That don't mean being soft and sugarcoating nothing. No, you can say something and really try and tell people, look, I see you hurting. I see you going in the wrong direction, but you need to stop. You need to change. Let's talk about it. What is it where your headspace is at right now? So you can either work on that together, or you just need to voice what you're feeling so you can get that under control. That's why a lot of people go to therapists. They really don't help. You just talking out loud so you can finally hear what's hurting you. Because a lot of people hold it in. They don't speak about it. When you finally speak about it, now you finally able to get it under control and say, okay, I've talked about it. I'm understanding it. Now I'm going to move forward and I'm going to grow past that. And I feel like that's what a lot of relationships, they say the main issue is communication. And it's not so much as that y'all get carried away with responsibility, especially as y'all grow together and develop things like a marriage and children and more jobs, putting your finances together, a house, a car together. Y'all get carried away with responsibilities and not in tune with each other and how you can be supportive to each other. I see a lot of women, especially generation, we are so independent. We got a lot of money. We want to, be able to buy our stuff. But at the same time, we have to understand that we are equal. That doesn't mean you got to be 50-50. I know people talk about that, but I mean, like, be supportive. If it comes down to, okay, your husband is paying the bills, he's doing this, take him out to eat. Like, what is wrong with you not to be able to feed your dude? Like, if you are cooking for him, groceries cost money. Right. So does eating out. So provide something that gives him peace. People go through so much stuff, and I've heard that, or it's like, well, I can be his peace. Don't be a piece. Be the piece,
You're dropping bars.
Yeah.
No, you really are. You dropping bars. And we're going to have to make part 3 the 50-50 conversation. We have to dive into that.
For sure. I'll be back.
With that being said, tell people where they can find you.
You can catch me on my IG, same thing, my Facebook, IMDb, everywhere. It's my name, Sarah.e.Arriaga. That's SARAH.E.ARRIAGA.
Thank you for your time, your effort, your energy. Thank you for your vulnerability. This is the Future of Female Podcast. I'm Zachary King. I'm out.